Hey, good morning. This is Brian for the Fantasy Boom YouTube channel, and I'm going over the MLB slate today it's just the early slate. It actually starts in an hour and 45 minutes for me doing this video, but it's for Boom Fantasy, no relation to Fantasy Boom. I'm going over this slate. This is the first time I'm playing MLB on this platform this season, so still figuring out my strategy. I've been playing draft. I haven't been doing videos just due to my personal schedule, but I've been winning on draft 75% of the time. So I think when I say winning, I'm talking about head-to-head games. So I think what I'm looking for with MLB is working right now. My strategy is I really try to get, I try not to focus on the sexy players and the big sexy names, and try to really look at the statistics and the matchups, and that's how I make my selection. So this is the early slate today. I'm not necessarily saying, hey, play this slate, but I'm showing you guys a platform if you have not looked at this yet. If Boom Fantasy looks like something you want to give it a shot, in the description of this video, very first sentence, you can click the link and check it out. This is the way Boom Fantasy works. Again, no relation to Fantasy Boom, but you can imagine that's how I came across the platform. So they're going to ask me 8 questions, and I'm playing a $5 head-to-head here, not doing anything crazy. They're going to ask me 8 questions, and I'm going to answer the questions. So here's the very first one. Which of these players will have the most hits on Saturday? So you get 3,000 points per hit. Here's the upside. It's still a cash game versus GPP type of mindset a little bit. So if Machado has the most hits, you'll get a bonus of 2,500 points. If Justin Smoke gets the most hits, you'll get a bonus of 5,000 points. So usually the popular guys, the cash game, you could say, options will be the ones who are, a bonus of 2,500 points because they're the safe ones. And then you got Smoke, who doesn't really have a good matchup today. But if you do pick him, you're now getting an extra 2,500 points. Now, if he goes 4 for 4 today, which is unlikely, then you really clean up. But it is a GP versus GPP cash game mindset at the same time. So I've got 2 categories here of hits. One is RBIs, total bases, and strikeouts. I feel like I clicked on the wrong game here. Yeah, I picked a 4-question contest. I meant to pick the 8. So excuse me while I get there real quick. But again, if this is a platform you want to give it a shot, just check the description of the video here. There we go. So there's 8 of them. And the big one, and you don't have to play head-to-head. This is just what I'm doing today. There is a GPP style format where there's actually a $1 million game, which is the real popular one for a $4 entry. So this is where you really make the points, and this is where I kind of had some success with NBA, is picking, exact numbers of points in NBA, and here, how many strikeouts. If you get if you get the exact answer, that's 30,000 points within 1, 20,000 within 2, 10,000. So, gonna go over this particular slate, and just say why I'm picking, who I'm picking, what kind of stats I'm looking at, and then we'll see what happens at the very end and see if that is a strategy that's going to work going forward or not. The first question is which one of these players will have the most hits on Saturday. Now, this isn't very sexy the way I did this. It's just on a Word document. But what I looked at, I used DFS Army. I looked at WOBA and Batter's Eye for hits. When you play NBA, regardless of matchup, some guys like James Harden or something are going to get their points. MLB's not like that. I really look at this at the matchup. I don't care if someone's on a hot hitting streak. Like if they go against a pitcher the next game that they have a bad history against, I'm going to pay more attention to that than what they've been doing the last few games. So I look at WOBA and Batter's Eye. And then I look at, some negative statistics as well. So Trumbo, who is, one of the options here, He has struck out. I didn't write down the pitcher's name, so my apologies. He has struck out 7 out of 19 times versus this guy with 1 hit. And then he has the lowest batter's eye. So I'm not even touching him. But I am going with Hernandez, highest WOBA, highest batter's eye percentage. So I'm click on him. Whoops. You just click on the guy you want. All right, so this one, Machado, Yelich, Herrera, and Smoke. I'm going with Manny based on WOBA and batter's eye. He has 3 home runs, 5 extra base hits versus this guy. 3 of them are home runs. So I kind of like that. If you want to, if you wanted to go Smoke here, that might be a good, good GPP style pick. But I'm going to play it safe for this one again as well. All right, which of these players will have the most RBIs? So what I looked at with RBIs was I looked at how many runs the team is expected to score, and then I looked at the batter's eye percentage on that as well. So again, we're going to see if these, the particular things I'm looking at, I'm going to see how much it helps me going forward. But this kind of stuff did help me on draft. So I'm just trying to carry it over into Boom Fantasy and see how it works. Toronto is expected to score 5 runs, and Philadelphia 4.7. So about the same ballpark. But then here I looked at the batter's eye, 81 percentage. So PR is who I'm going to go with. Chris Davis, he batting against Happ, he has 4 out of 23. Now the crazy thing is he has 2 home runs in those 4 hits, but he struck out 11 times. Has a pretty low batter's eye, so I want nothing to do with him today. PR is going to be my pick. Which of these players will have the most RBIs? Again, very similar thing I did this time around. Jonathan Schoop is 7 for 28 versus Happ, batting 250, 0 home runs, and he actually has 5 walks on top of those 28 at bats. So I'm staying away from him. Carlos Santana, higher scoring game, pretty good batter's eye. I was actually going back and forth between him and Solarte, and they might put up the same, really very similar numbers. But I went and looked at the last 3 games. Santana has 3 RBIs in the last 3. Solarte has 0. So that was my tiebreaker. So Carlos Santana it is. Which of these players will score the most runs on Saturday? This was actually kind of a difficult one for me. But I'm looking at how many runs the team is projected, and the WOBA, the batter's eye, and how many runs, and how they've been batting the last 3 games. So this is the one I kind of looked at a lot of things, because if they can't get on base, then what good is this? One thing I probably need to look at going forward is their on base percentage. So I didn't do that today. I don't even know who I didn't even make a selection yet on this one. One thing I do know is that Santana, who you would have got a bonus of 10,000 points for him, he's not playing today. So I'm not sure why he's on the slate. He's injured. Unless that changes, to my knowledge, he is not playing today. But runs scored, Aguilar has scored 2 runs in the last 3. They're all batting pretty poorly in their last 10, 11 at bats. But I'm going to go Granderson just because they're expected to score more runs today. His WOBA is, comparable to these guys, and then a much better batter's eye. So wish I had the on-base percentage numbers. I'm going to have to get that next time around, but I'm going with Granderson. Which of these players will have the most total bases? So what I looked at for this was WOBA and ISO, and Teoscar Hernandez had the best WOBA and ISO by far as the combination. So far I haven't done anything too crazy. Now if you're playing the more of a GPP format, where you're playing against, a few hundred people or whatever, that's where you got to take some risks. But obviously, head-to-head is not really necessary. All right, so for Arrieta, I looked at how many strikeouts he's been averaging per inning this year, and I multiplied it by how many innings I think he's going to pitch. And I actually am giving him a higher number this time. So Arrieta, I'm going with 8 strikeouts. And real similar strategy for Gosman. I'm actually keeping the 6 here. And again, I didn't do anything real crazy. I looked at some of the hitter matchups and everything, just to make sure I was comfortable with it. But for the most part, I went with how many strikeouts he's averaging per inning times how many innings I think he's going to pitch. So not a real difficult strategy there, but we'll see how it works. All right, so that is it for me. And I know I stumbled my way through this video a little bit, but it's my first time talking about this platform, and I'm still getting ready. I'm still learning it. Let me show you. Again, if you're doing something a little bit more in the GPP, I think we need to go to featured. All right, they pretty much got low player entries. I guess because it's early, but this one, if you play $100, you have 6 opponents. First place gets $356.85. Second, $192.15. So it's not head to head, but it's 33% instead of 50%. But check out the platform. Lots of really different ways to play. I'm gonna stick with low head to heads for right now, and just see how I do and see how the strategy works out. So again, my apologies if I stumbled my way through this a little bit. Still learning this, but definitely check it out. First description of the video, Boom Fantasy, and we'll talk to you later. Peace.